Hola everyone, welcome to Flexibility Script. This video is going to be going into an exercise commonly known as swimmer hovers. They can be done in a seated up position, which is a lot kinder, especially if learning just the movement mechanics of it. I'm going to be demonstrating a little bit like a progressed version from the floor, which will make it just a little more challenging, but it will help keep you really honest with your ranges of motion. When you're doing it from the floor, gravity acts as a form of resistance, so you'll have a bit of a strength benefit to it all when you're doing it from the floor. The motion really helps address and work your internal and external rotation capabilities of your shoulder joints. You'll be trying to express as much internal and as much external rotation, along with moving through this bit of a circular pattern with your shoulders to strengthen your whole backside. So movement is fairly simple, but does not mean it's not challenging. To do it correctly, you're going to be laying down face down, and you're going to be, I'm going to try to angle myself here. You're going to be having your forehead can rest on the floor, but if you find that it feels uncomfortable, sometimes having something like a little pillow or a little yoga block will be really helpful. I'm just going to grab my yoga block here. So having a yoga block will be really helpful so that your head can feel a little bit more comfortable and maybe not be stuck into a too much of a forward thing. You can do one arm at a time. I'm going to be demonstrating both at the same time to knock them both out, especially great if you're short on time. So the forehead can rest right on that yoga block. Now from here, the motion, if I was to break it down without going into it just yet, the motion is that my fingers are behind the ears. My goal is going to be to lift off my elbows off the ground. From there, my goal is going to be to keep my elbow where it's positioned and then externally rotate to try to lift the hand off of the back of my head. Once I have that, my goal is then going to be to straighten, and it's almost when I straighten, my arms are in a bit of a Y position. From there, I'm going to be internally rotating. Once I get to this back point here, I'm going to be bringing my arms back, bending just at the elbow. Notice that my hand doesn't fall as I do that. I stay reaching back, I bend. I find my back of my hip or lower back, wherever I can reach up towards. From there, I can relax, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing all over again. And by that, it's the same thing where my elbows lift off. From there, so notice that the shoulder really opens back. From there, my goal is going to be lift my hand off my hip, my back, wherever I ended up landing. My goal is going to be to lift off without letting this happen. So once I get my elbow up, my goal is going to be to keep that without letting my shoulder fall forward when I lift my hand off my back. So I work on keeping that. Then I straighten my arm. From there, I externally rotate back. So this is internal rotation, this is external rotation. Back to the letter Y, then I find my fingers on my head, and then I'll relax out of it all the way. Once I've done that, sorry about that. Once I've done that, I can relax and repeat it all over again. Now both arms will be doing the work together. So what it looks like when we put it all together, I'll be laying down. So from here, laying down, fingers are going to be behind my head. From here, I'm going to be working on lifting off. From here, I really work on keeping that squeeze between my shoulder blades, those muscles working, and I lift my hands off my head. I'm going to straighten, internally rotate as I come back. Keep reaching the hands up towards the ceiling. Bend, find my back, and relax. From here, I'm going to do the same thing, but in reverse. So laying down, I'm going to lift my hands off, straighten, keep reaching my hands up towards the ceiling as I slowly come back to the letter Y. My goal is not to let this happen. I really need to keep fighting to reach upward towards the ceiling. I come back, then my fingers find my head, and then I'll relax back down. When I go up and down, that is 1 rep. So that's a swimmer hover. I'm going to repeat it again. So again, I'm laying down, forehead on the ground, fingers on the head. From here, I'm going to lift, squeeze those shoulder blades together. I keep that activation as I lift my hands off my head without letting my elbows drop. From there, I straighten, keep my elbows nice and straight, keep reaching up towards the ceiling as I slowly internally rotate, keep reaching back. From there, I bend, I find my hands on my back, and then I relax all the way. Then I repeat, elbow squeeze, lift off, straighten, keep reaching up towards the ceiling as I slowly come up, keep reaching up, 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 up. From there, bend, find the head, relax. Repeat, up, lift, fully straighten, internally rotate as you keep reaching up towards the ceiling. Bend at the elbows while still reaching up. Hands find the back, hips drop, squeeze, lift, straighten. Externally rotate while reaching up towards the ceiling. Keep reaching up, bend, hands find the head, relax all the way. If you do it right, you'll get a nice little nice little burn of all the muscles in the rotator cuff area working and the upper back working, and it should feel quite challenging, especially when you're really working on making sure that as you hover the hands off the floor, as you're doing that swimmer hover and you're internally rotating, that you really are fighting to not let this happen. Your goal is going to be to keep reaching back as you do the motion, and saying when you're coming up that you also don't want to be here, that you want to keep your back actively work to reach upward. So that back of the hand and forearm, you're continually think about pushing up toward the ceiling, and then same thing with the palm when you internally rotate. So swimmer hovers, a good exercise just by itself in terms of strengthening the shoulder, and it sometimes falls in the world of prehabilitation along with rehabilitation, but nice really warm up to prep if you're going into an upper body strength focused workout to prep the shoulders and expose that shoulder to full internal and external rotation while creating some strength and activation to all the muscles in your upper back. Usually anywhere from 3 to 5 reps, especially if you're new to it, is usually plenty, and then taking a break and then repeating for at least another 2 to 3 sets. It's usually great. Also, same kind of thinking when you're integrating into a warm-up. So give it a try and enjoy increasing the strength of your upper back and helping your posture and helping your shoulders. Along with improving and working your ranges of motion.